So the go-to condition says that you are not allowed to allow too many flames, or you must allow some number of flames to actually reach the boss. And as a result, the boss gets a bunch of extra HP and causes a lot of problems. The challenge mode condition is actually entirely free because Ethan is busted and just wrecks this boss. That being said, we will be letting... So it's okay to let some amount of the fires get to the boss during the first phase, and it's actually okay to kill more of them. It's 20 flames per wave that comes to the boss. So you're allowed to kill 30. So we only have to kill 5 for each of the remaining waves. So we're allowed to kill some, but it's best to at least give yourself a little bit of buffer space. So allow some of them to get through. And you know, if you just do this, naturally some will get through and some won't, and then you'll be good. So you want to deploy your medics. And I won't be explaining this part too much. Just kind of see how it looks. I don't want too many of these to get through because it'll cause me problems. Alright, that's good enough. So in theory, you can actually retreat Ethan, but I'm just gonna keep him here. For the first wave, it's okay if he's here. So when the boss does spawn, you want to make sure that you have something to take the aggro off of it to make sure that the sword does not hit Surtur, since Surtur is the last deployed operator. We want to make sure that Surtur lives long enough to actually take care of the entirety of the health bar. You want to wait for it to start attacking. Alright. And during this time, we want to make sure we're continuing to generate DP. And since we're a little bit short on damage, you can use whatever damage operator that you have. Neural Alter is incredibly good here for a number of reasons. But you want to make sure that you're constantly baiting additional damage off of the boss if your medics are not as strong. This is an E1 Collapsus, so it should be okay. You should be able to survive, but you just want to make sure that you burst this guy down with one wave of Surtur, otherwise he's got problems. There's also a time limit on this particular stage as well, so you gotta be wary of that. I retreated because I needed some extra make sure I have enough DP. So after that... make sure that so these AoE medics are fine, but make sure you're deploying your defender last, because you need to make sure that the defender has aggro from the rock throwing guys. So when the rock throwing guys comes around, you want to make sure that you kill 2 of them before the last one, and this is the key to getting the gilded medal. So you want to make sure you kill these 2, and then stall the last one. And I'll explain in a minute why. Alright, so make sure the last one dies. The second one dies. Okay. So now leave 12F to kill these things. So the key here is you want to make sure the battlefield is entirely clear before you kill this last one. And the reason is you need the... So the core here is a mechanic of the boss. When the boss comes in egg form, the boss will not transform until 20 enemies has been eliminated from the battlefield. Now, conveniently, when one of these dies, 15 of these spawn. And right as he dies, the battlefield is empty, which is just enough for the egg to spawn. Alright, we also don't want to waste too long. Okay, so now we want to make sure that we're just killing him quickly here. I deployed that badly, so ignore that. So you see how he died, and but all of these popped, right? So right as he died, there are no enemies on the battlefield, so the egg will spawn. Now you want to make sure that you don't kill these flags, because then what happens is after the egg spawns, these flags, when they die, will count as the 20 enemies, which will count towards the 20 required to wake up the boss. So we'll leave these alone. Let them keep going. Don't let them die until the egg spawns. So egg spawns, now it's okay for them to die. So now Ethan can kill these. Now we want to kill 5 of these flames. Approximately. Ideally the first 5. Okay, that's good enough. We want to make sure we don't accidentally kill too many to ensure that we are getting our Yodit medal. So the boss will second part of the boss will spawn in this part of the wave. So we'll make sure that we, have our stuff. Okay, so you see how the boss woke up even though all of these fires on the field? It's because we killed 15 other enemies, and as a result, these ones don't count. So now we want to wait until these fires sort of get out of the way. And you see this giant sword. This will execute whoever hits, which is why we put down this particular drone to take the aggro off of this sword, to make sure that Surtur does not die. So we'll wait for all of these to leave, because otherwise Surtur will just be hitting these, and that's not good. You don't want Surtur to hit those. Alright, you just want to make sure that Surtur, whatever happens, we want to make sure Surtur does not get hit by the boss's execute. Alright, we're good to go. Go time. Yeah, so basically, so long as Surtur hits the boss, it's fine. Alright, once again, Telepathy scope. Alright, so this is phase 2 of the boss done. So if your medic is not as good, say you don't have a Telopsis, what you can do is you can have a Spot or another medic. A Susuro, additional medics will good. We have Telopsis, which does so much healing that we don't actually need additional medics, but you could use one more medic just to make sure that Surtur does enough damage to kill this boss. Alright, just in time. Yeah, so if you have additional damage, you could deploy additional damage to make sure that that wasn't so close. But finally, put Ethan down again. AoE, both AoE casters. In fact, you should also, hilariously, the guide I used also made this mistake, but you should probably not put this down so early. You want to make sure you have enough DP for your defender. But we should be okay. Yeah, so once again, remember, we want to kill all but the last one. Right. So in order to help us do that, we're going to make sure that as soon as both of these reach the range, we'll make sure that this guy gets hit. And then we'll put a scene drone down to help DPS this guy, so that he takes extra damage compared to this guy. Alright, so we'll be activating Scene Skill as soon as it is up. Again, you can use anything else that helps increase the damage on this guy. You just have to make sure that you leave a gap. You leave a gap between when this guy dies and when the last guy dies. Yeah, so you want to make sure the entire battlefield is empty before you kill this guy. Alright. Okay, so that died, and that popped. Perfect timing. Remember that we can't let these die. We need to kill these after the egg spawns, so we'll wait for the egg before these die. In the meantime, we can start preparing surgery here. Yeah, so you notice that this deployment took a few extra damage, killed maybe 1 or 2 of those before they reach the boss. So this is why we want to make sure we have ourselves a little bit of a buffer, so we don't kill exactly 20 in the first wave. So once again, we want to kill just enough until this thing dies. So we'll have Ethan take care of a few, and also we want to make sure that the execute does not hit Surtur. So I'm going to put a medic in the back just to help keep Surtur alive. Alright. Boss bot, so that's okay. So it's now time to wait for this. So the boss is going to do his execute. Like, look at how much SP he has, right? Like, so he's going to execute both Telopsis and... Alright, it looks like he's about to activate this skill. Alright, we can start hitting him, so let's go. We don't want to assault too long. And it's okay to leave these platform operators on the back platform. They'll die, but that's fine because we just want them to take aggro. The key is to make sure that the sword does not hit whoever's in the back. Ideally, 2 rounds of Surtur will be enough. If you have extra damage source, that's ideal. Right, so you see that 1 round of Surtur doesn't quite get us there. Alright, and then for me, I'm gonna use this no altar. You could try to do some additional damage, but you gotta be careful to make sure you have enough DP for the next Surtur deployment. If you have no altar, that's ideal. She is one of the strongest options available for this particular effect. And mine is S1. Alright. Alright, so for the final case, we'll speed up. For the final Surtur deployment, once again, we want to make sure that the boss's sword does not kill our Surtur. So we need to deploy a couple platform baits. Ideally, make sure that the sword is used, that executes, before we deploy a Surtur. You see the sword? Sword's going up. Scene gets executed. Thank you, Scene, for your hard work. Put a medic down. Well, just so that the next sword, but then, you know, this is hopefully enough to kill the boss. Cool. And that's both. Oh wait, that is not challenge mode. We screwed up. But challenge mode would be basically the same. You can use the exact same strategy, and it should just work. Well, thank you so much for watching. You all take care. Bye bye.